unfortunately, due to according to the Pew statistics, 48% of the Americans are still not comfortable using pronouns because they see what is on the top. Bathroom, they only hear bathroom, pronouns. Bathroom, sports, pronouns. They
Right.
don't see
Right.
under the surface how much we have struggled. Homelessness, being,
Yeah.
going through mental
Yeah.
health issues, going through incarceration issues. Every area of our life, we've been going through all these issues, and they don't see what is the root cause of the reason why
Yes.
people are different. Companies are changing, but I would say that I see a lot of change in the media industry also. The way in
Okay.
which the ads have come, it's always demeaning to the trans community. We've been portrayed as, drag queens or having a fishnet
Right.
stock or just kissing someone. It's
Exactly.
always about that. I want to see trans entrepreneurs in the media industry. I want to see
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, CEOs being portrayed in the media industry. I want to see astronauts who are
Yeah.
trans in the media industry. And
Yes.
that's the way we want to change things. That's happening, but I'm glad that the younger generation is able to change that
Right.
for the Gen X and
Right.
baby boomers.
Right.
And I'm so hopeful that the gender expansive community is much more on fire than my generation. My daughter is much more open to being an advocate for me than me. She talks about things
That's
probably
good.
to
Yes.
her friends. Yeah, she's 22 years old. I came out to her
Yeah.
when she was 12. But I see that kind of change. And to me, that is very encouraging that the future generation, they're all thinking and they are all changing the way in which companies need to. I see a lot of change in the smaller companies, startups and smaller
Yes.
companies than the traditional companies. IBM has done a great job. But when you look at companies which are culturally heteronormative, they have a lot more to do. And
Right.
it's not about compliance in the companies anymore. It's about compassion over compliance.
Right.
It's not about
Right.
compliance because compliance is important. And they need to look
Right.
at gender non-binary in 2023 in your Equal Employment Opportunity Act. You need to add all that information. But it's also important not just to create a business value while you're adding a trans person. Look at the human value. And that's what I try to advocate for. And that's what I see companies doing is, hey, if we hire, we are much better than our peers. We are innovative. We are productive. So they create a business case. Then I always tell them, keep the business case to the CEO, get the funding, get the approval. When you execute it, you want to make sure the employees are transparent. You want to tell the entire employees that we are doing this intentionally to create a change and in our workforce to have a psychological safe environment. That's the kind of workforce we are looking at, not just checking boxes, Black, Asian American. That needs to go away.
Hmm.
I hope there will be one day when you don't have to check any of the race and ethnicity boxes.
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
human being, it's like human being.
Yes. Human.
Check.
Exactly.
People, right? People.
People,
Yeah.
check.
Human.
Yeah. So I also realized that you noticed that you recently got into LinkedIn top 10 LGBTQI plus voices.
Yeah.
How did you how did they pick those people? Like what did you have to do?
Yeah, I keep on advocating for the corporate change, and
Mm-hmm.
that's been one of the things that I've been doing, and they've been following me. Actually, I didn't know that. um, but I think what broke the glass ceiling was the 2.4 million hits in 2 days.
Oh,
And
okay.
Oh,
my
yeah.
story was featured as the LinkedIn top stories for that day. And then I didn't know. My friends called me and said, Celia, you've been featured as the LinkedIn story for today. And I looked at my thing, and then came the Ukraine war, and then came other things. And I was like,
Oh my
seriously?
gosh.
Are they really doing this? I was happy for that day, but I knew it will end, right?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes you get caught up in all this, and
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to leverage, and I said, this is great. People are learning. It's not Celia's voice. It's Michelle's voice. It's Shelby's voice. It's a voice of people like us, and so LinkedIn called me and said, we want to add you as one of the top 10 voices for LGBTQ in 2022. It's a good pat on the back. I wouldn't, I think we are all doing a great job. And
Yes.
so the recognition was a good pat on the back to me. And I will still continue to do, not because they have given me an LGBTQ voice
Right.
thing,
Right.
but I think we do. We are all amazing LGBTQ voices in this country and across the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is important. It is just a pat on the back, but it does recognize you and for your voice, for the work that you've been doing. And you've been doing so many things for so many years. And I've kind of seen you from the kind of the outside looking in. And I transitioned just over, well, it's about 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago now. And so I'm still the newbie here. But but I think it is important for us to recognize people like yourself that has put in the effort and put in the work in seeing this change. And some of us that are new, that are coming in, or maybe even not in a position to be able to transition yet, we can still base and learn from you. And based on your experiences, we can kind of help pattern our experiences around that. One of the questions I had was, because I think a trans person will make a great DEI advocate. What would be some ways? I actually have a friend she's a very good cis ally, but she wants to enter the DEI space because she really wants to advocate for the trans community specifically, but of course everybody as well. What are some ways someone without a college degree or a degree with something else, what are some ways people could get into this space?
I think the first important thing is to connect with the community, to understand the community, to listen to the community, learning to unlearn certain things. For example, pronouns was hard for me when I had to use they. I was raised with an Anglican English grammar from England, from in India. So to me, using they was really hard. And then I had to unlearn that this has been used since 13th century in Shakespearean language. It's always been there in Pickwick Papers. It's been there in a lot of authors have used they as to describe a person. They didn't want to describe a gender. So it's been there. And I think in getting involved in the community, understanding the community is so important. So I can give you one quick example. That is allies. The word allies means acknowledge your privilege that you're a cis person who's trying to help trans community. Listen to the voice of the trans folks in our community. Learn to unlearn things, which is very important. Instigate tough conversations and be in situations where you have to make tough decisions. And E is to educate yourself and to educate others. First, you need to educate yourself. You can't just educate others and start educating yourself after that. The last one is support by being involved in the community. So this is something that I would advise to your friend when you look at being an ally is understanding the whole package of being an ally. It's not just, and you don't have to have a college degree. You just need to have a heart. Your academic qualification probably gives you a platform, but I've seen that I am in platforms where there are judges in the call. There are, I would say, someone who has written councilmen, councilwomen, people who are very, very important making changes in the call. And I'm part of this conversations because they want to hear my point of view as a person of color and an immigrant. So there are a lot of times I feel that it's good to have someone advocating for us, but the most important thing is to not take away our space.